Jack JW here. When you're buying used revolvers, there's always something you need to look for. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So actually, this video is for a special friend of mine. Uzi 9, this one's for you. Buying used revolvers, always something that you want to check for. There's things that you want to check for when you buy a used revolver. So it's kind of like buying a used car. Anyway, the guy at the gun counter, you know, you got to remember, not all the time they're going to be, you know, your friend. A lot of times they're in business to sell. You know, they need your money, and they not necessarily may tell you everything that's wrong with the revolver. I'll tell you, I bought revolvers and popped the side plate off, and man, it looked like it was thrown in the ocean. So anyway, and paid top dollar for it. Anyway, so I'm glad I know a little bit more than I used to know. I've gotten smarter over the time, and I hope to share some of that with you. I don't know everything, and I'm sure there's about 100 more things I could show you that I didn't cover in this video. But anyway, let's go ahead and check and show you some of the things, okay? So first thing when you buy a revolver is obviously you check and clear it. But anyway, check that cylinder for side to side shake. Basically taking it and just kind of moving it side to side. There should be some play, but if it's excessive, I mean, if it's something where you can almost hear it going cha cha cha, whatever, then you know you might want to think that might be a little worn out. The other thing you want to check for is forward to end shake. Cylinder forward to end, going forward and backwards. That's from obviously the pressures of the round going off. If it has excessive forward to end shake. Now these things can be corrected, but you know what? I mean, if you're going to be paying your money for it, you might as well buy one that doesn't need to be corrected or anything like that. And it can be quite a task to do so. So the other thing to check for is the timing. So you want to check and put a little light drag on the cylinder or the extractor rod here. You can just put a little drag on it, not too much, and just ease back that hammer. And basically what you're checking for is when the hammer's back, it's locked into place. If it isn't, then it has a little slow timing, and that eventually could lead to it being really slow and not coming into full battery when the hammer strikes the firing pin. I mean the primer there, and sets the round off, and you should split a bullet and get lead splattering out through the side and eventually damage the gun, or worse, you. So anyway, that's something to check for. Also, the other thing you want to look for is a turn ring, the notch to notch, and how deep that turn ring can get. Now sometimes when you're buying online and all you can see is a picture and you can't do this, I've gone and used my instincts on that turn ring. If it has a heavy turn ring, it could mean two things: it's been shot a lot, or it's been played with a lot, meaning somebody probably sat there and popped that cylinder open and shut it and did yada yada yada. The other thing I check for on that note is the notches here. Okay, check them for marring. If there's big gouges or you know, kind of burrs over there, you know, if it looks like it's been you know, marred up a little bit. Now what that is for those people that spin this cylinder because they think they're in Hollywood and slam that gun shut. Okay, that cylinder's going now, and it eventually has to run into the hand on the bottom and stop with a sudden force, and that puts a little mar on this and obviously puts stress on that. I mean, it's the stupidest thing you can do to your revolver, and people do it. So anyway, the next thing you want to check for is the forcing cone. That's the forcing cone where the cylinder meets up to the barrel. Check it for damages, fractures, because I tell you this much, especially with these old vintage guns, these 38s here, they're not rated for plus P. There's always could be a possibility somebody just shot plus P ammo in it and could have done some damage to that forcing cone, maybe put a stress fracture in it, and later down the line you buy it for $500, and next thing you know, you got a broken gun and you're sad. So the other thing, price points, you know, you may get that guy that's going to tell you, or that, you know, the gun shop that's going to tell you, well, it's a vintage gun, it's, you know, worth money, blah. So on that aspect, you know, yes, he's using that to his advantage, that is trying to get more money out of your pocket. Definitely look it up. Look up the model numbers and what you're trying to buy. Look up the price points, because I tell you this much, you'd be surprised. You know, not all Smith & Wessons are treated alike. That's, I know it's strange, but it's still mind-boggling to me. Like, you know, for instance, you get one of these old top brake models, and I've seen them only worth $400 or $500. But then you get a Model 29 that's obviously way newer in production than that, and they're worth more. So you got to kind of also kind of look at that. The other thing is to check to make sure it's got its original grips. The original wood grips are a big thing right there, okay? Like for instance, a Colt Python like this one here, if it didn't have its original wood grips, now well, those wood grips right there are $300 alone on a Colt Python, okay? For like this model, pre-model 10, okay, this is a 5-screw model, so you can see the one here and the one here, the 2+ screws, aside from the standard crane screw and the side plate, other screws that hold in the rest of the side plate, they've added in the top one and this one. They quit doing that. Now this is a very late production, very early production gun. This is a C series. This gun was made in 1948. It's got the different sight, different hammer, obviously the 5-screw, but to make sure you have the right grips on there, it has the diamond in the middle of the wood grips there. They quit doing that. So that is something else that you wanted to make sure. On the bigger frames, like the K frames, N frames, mostly I notice it on the N frames, but obviously I've seen it a lot on the K frames, like this Model 19, is the grip style. You can see here the cutout here, that is a later style. And before that, they used to do just the divot out of it here. So that is on the collector's value, that is more desirable from what I've read and understand. A little harder to find it with that scoop out of it instead of having the entire thing cut out for a speed loader. So anyway, that's just a few things that you could check for without having to be weird and stand there in a gun shop running through 100 tests on the gun. You know, when the gun shop guy is looking at you and kind of trying to figure out what the heck you're doing to his gun, it's kind of rude. You know, you don't want to be doing all too much stuff, but you can nonchalant grab it, check it out, close it up, you know, give it the little side shine, you know, kind of that, put a little drag on it, and just, you know, and there you go. I mean, you've kind of checked a lot of things right there just by, you know, looking at it. And obviously the finish is going to tell you a lot too. If it looks like it's been ran over by a truck, you might want to start thinking about it. The other thing is, going back to the collector's value, is checking to make sure it's not been re-blued. They're trying to pass off a gun onto you and trying to get top dollar out of it when it's collectible. You know, and it's been re-blued, that obviously hurts the value. Now, it's sometimes hard to tell if it's been re-blued or not. So, but one of the obvious giveaways is the stampings, such as the logo and the writing and the stampings on the barrel are not as sharp as they used to be. They're a little worn down. So if the finish is damn near perfect and the stampings are a little worn down, you start to question that. That's a little bit of a giveaway. Obviously, it's not 100% reliable, but it does give it away some, and you'll know it when you see it. So the other thing is some of the Magnum models, the 357 Magnum, the 41 Magnum, 44 Magnum is also known as the pinned and recessed series. So like this Model 19, again, this is a pinned barrel and recessed cylinders. So also want to check on the dash numbers, what the dash numbers mean. So this one's a -4. This one happens to be the last dash number on number 4s that they've done this to. So pretty much after that, the -5, they quit pinning the barrel and recessing the cylinders. So that's another thing. If it's a Magnum and it's got pinned and recessed cylinders, pin barrel recessed cylinders, it's a little bit more collectible, especially Model 29. So if you have a Model 29-2, -1, those are going to be pinned and recessed. -3 like this one, they've quit doing that, so it's not featured on that gun. As far as stainless guns go in that matter, like for say the Model 66, which is the stainless steel version of the Model 19, they pretty much, that by the time that came into production line, they were pretty much going to quit pinning and recessing the cylinders. So there's only one 66 that exists like that, and that is the 66, no dash. So after that, pretty much -1, -2, etc. is eliminated and no longer has pin barrel or recessed cylinders. So some of the cost-saving measures of recessing the cylinders is, if you actually take a look at them, the cylinder is slightly longer, not by much, but enough to, it is a difference because they needed to countersink the round. So the cylinder is a little bit longer. on them. Not sure, you know, if it's a material wise or, you know, cost saving measures, obviously, to do so. So anyway, that's a little quick brief thing on when buying some of these used revolvers, what to look for, collecting value. If you're really interested in this stuff, I suggest for Smith & Wessons especially is to get the standard catalog of Smith & Wesson revolvers. It's a really good book. It'll tell you about the dash numbers, what they mean, what they've changed, and you know, that basically and such, you know, that lets you know on production wise what they've done and the collector's value on it. So anyway, hopefully that sheds some light and not too long and boring. And of course, there's probably a million other things I should have covered, but I'm not. But just the basics, and hope that helps you out. Thanks for watching. I'm Batjack JW. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'm out. So if you like revolvers, you definitely come to the right channel.